Gab.
Hi, Mom.
What's that?
This is us at home. Do you remember the playground? We went down the slide. Then we went round and round. Then we went swimming. And we saw a shark. And then we played soccer. And the crowd went wild. But the best part is this.
Who's that?
Dad! I love our home. There's so much to do. So much more to life. SMDC.
Mike and I, we're so different. He likes it cool.
She loves it hot. I keep it pretty intense.
While I'm all about keeping the calm, I believe in variety.
I stick with the usual, especially food.
Despite it all, we get along well.
It helps when your home is right beside a mall. So much to love. So much more to life. SMDC.
Since I got my new place, I've enjoyed every single day here. Hotel-like amenities, attentive staff, resort-style living, all in a premium location. So life here is easy and convenient. That's why I invested in another unit. I can earn more, and they can enjoy the very same things I enjoy at home. What a life! So much more rewarding. So much more to life. SMDC.
My day starts early, and I don't mind. Because my client meetups are just around the corner. Even the lunch meetings are just a block away. The business meetings are right up ahead. And more importantly, I have more time to spend with the VIPs in my life. Life is definitely better when everything's so much closer. So much more to life. SMDC.
SMDC.
Live a life that is closer to more that you need, to more that you love, to make more moments that matter. Live a life that is better, where there's more fun with friends and neighbors together. SMDC, the good life. SMDC, the good guys give you. SMDC, the good life, a life with so much more here. There is so much more to love. There is so much more to see. There is so much to enjoy. SMDC, the good guys give you so much more to life.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today titled World-Class Design, Future-Proof Living, hosted by Philippine Daily Inquirer's Property Section in partnership with SM Development Corp or SMDC. As we have seen so far, changes are inevitable. This pandemic has upended our lives, changing the way we live, work, play, and learn. Our habits have to change drastically too, and for all we know, this might just be the beginning. In many ways, design and architecture are helping us thrive and remain safe amid this health crisis. Many have started to carve new areas for home offices, learning nooks and gyms, while companies and local governments are redesigning public spaces to suit new moods and new needs. We are slowly seeing changes in our built environments to meet the demands imposed by new health and safety protocols. So in today's webinar, we are fortunate to have an esteemed panel of experts who will share their insights about how design and architecture can help us make our homes safe amidst and beyond the pandemic and allow us to better navigate the new normal. They are renowned architects and designers tapped by SMDC for their projects. Our first panelist is Michael Fiebrick, an entrepreneurial interior architect who founded his own studio, which is Michael Fiebrick Design, in 2007. Fiebrick brings in more than 25 years of experience to the design industry with a passion for innovation and desire to create moving experiences through the built environment. He has won numerous design awards and has been widely published and has built a reputation serving some of the world's most iconic properties. His company, Michael Fiebrick Design, is a full-service architectural interior design firm with strongly developed specialties in guest room design, specialty suites, spas, as well as innovative dining, bar, and entertainment venues. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for the kind introduction. As a bit more detail, I'm an interior architect, originally from Texas, but I moved to Southeast Asia 26 years ago to start my career in hospitality design. I've always said that Asia was the best place for a young designer to build a career because developers in this part of the world, like SMDC, have been more I guess, accepting of new ideas and approaches to design, whether it's a hotel or a luxury restaurant or a luxury residence. There's an open spirit of wanting to challenge norms and explore outside the envelope in this region, and a genuine desire to create better and better guest experiences. So that's been a true blessing and an incredible challenge to learn and grow from. Since moving to Asia, our company, Michael Fiebrick Design, or MFD, has grown its market to include the Middle East, Australia, and even Europe. And we've expanded our services to include everything from art consultancy, styling services, to purchasing and even turnkey interior solutions. We always want our client to feel like we have them covered at every turn and every stage of the design process. We've also been blessed over the past several years to receive many design awards. And just last year, actually, we were awarded Best Hotel Suite, Asia Pacific for the Presidential Suite at the Conrad Hotel Manila. That's another incredible SM development. We have a boutique office based in Singapore. We have an incredible team of talented designers, and we really pride ourselves on not only giving the highest level of personalized service to our clients, but by providing cutting-edge creative solutions that help guide our clients to not just realize, but surpass their development goals. I appreciate you giving us an opportunity to be involved in this discussion today. I think the topics are really relevant. Some of our recent work I'd love to share with you. You're still seeing my screen, aren't you?
Yep.
This is a luxury residence that we're currently working on in Australia. We like to say that we work on any project, large or small. This happens to be quite a large residence on the Swan River in Perth. Very modern, contemporary. The point and the focus of the interior design was to focus on those incredible views and take advantage of that. Even bedrooms, living room spaces, even bathrooms. We really tried to focus the entire view of the home on the beautiful river views and capitalize on that beautiful light. This is another project that we're also working on in Australia. Similar scale residence, very different client, very different brief. I would call this style a bit more transitional. We, again, something we pride ourselves on is that we're comfortable working in any style. I always say that we design for our client. So the look and feel and the style of whatever we create comes from not necessarily a personal style of our own, but by the personal style of the client. It's our job to take that and create something that's meaningful for them. You can see again, though, always trying to focus on those beautiful views and capitalize on the natural light. This is another luxury residence we're working on currently in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. This is, as opposed to the first project, this is a high-rise condominium. So a very different architectural approach, but equal amount of attention given to the interior and the design. This is a hotel that we completed recently. This is also in Australia. It's at the Crown Towers Hotel. This was the chairman's villa. It's the penthouse of the entire hotel. Beautiful views of the river and the city. This project also was awarded in 2018 for Best Hotel Suite worldwide. Beautiful architectural space. You can see how we capitalize on the double-story volume. The light and fresh finishes sort of really always forcing your eye out to the views. These are the standard rooms in the same hotel. But you can see that same thought and design philosophy where we've turned the bed, sleeping area to face the view. And even in the washrooms, always trying to capitalize on natural light and views out. This is a SM project that we completed recently, the one I mentioned earlier that won Best Hotel Suite Asia Pacific. This is at the top floor of the Conrad Hotel in Manila, the Presidential Suite. This was a really exciting project. Like I said, it was on the top floor. It has a massive outdoor terrace that looks over the bay, beautiful sunsets. We actually tried to emulate the colors of the sunset in the materials and the fabrics and carpets that we selected. You can see those incredible views there. This is a smaller residential project here in Singapore. This one has been nominated for award in 2020. So fingers crossed for this one. As you know, we have smaller spaces here in Singapore, but we tried to select a light, fresh palette, capitalize on the outdoor terraces and spaces, opening up windows wherever possible, so that the apartment feels much bigger. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share some of our work. And like I said earlier, I'm excited to discuss this topic. I think it's incredibly meaningful and relevant during this period. So I appreciate you including me to share my thoughts.
Thank you so much, Michael. And I love that space. I've been to the penthouse of the Conrad, and it's a beautiful space. We've done some events there. It's amazing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Our next panelist is Adrian L. Norman, Managing Director of Adrian L. Norman Limited, which he founded in 2005. He has over 27 years of experience in landscape consultancy and has been based in Hong Kong since 1993. His extensive experience covers all terms and all areas of landscape, from institutional, residential, commercial, and hospitality to recreational, public, open space, and urban design. He has worked as a consultant within large multidisciplinary design teams for numerous landscape projects throughout Asia and the Middle East, from project inception to construction supervision. His company has also won numerous design awards in Hong Kong, China, Singapore, and Malaysia. He will be joined by Robert Scott Laird, Project Director of Adrian L. Norman Limited. Welcome, Adrian and Robert.
Hi, good afternoon, Tim. Thank you.
Hi, Tim. Good afternoon.
Hello.
We'd like to introduce ourselves. As you say, very warm introduction for us. Yes, we opened the company in 2005 after having worked in Hong Kong and around Asia since 1993. Our work includes large-scale projects all the way from large-scale master planning to mixed-use developments, all the way down to residential projects across Asia, Southeast Asia, and to small-scale projects as well. We have a presentation to show you as well. Would you like us to show that now?
Yes, yes, please.
So as I say, if you can see the screen, we opened the company in 2005. We have offices in both Hong Kong and Malaysia with many years of experience across Southeast Asia, China, the Middle East, as well as then we have 25 staff in Hong Kong and 10 staff in Kuala Lumpur. We work with many of the very well-known developers and architects here in Philippines. Of course, we work extensively with SMDC and with other major developers across Asia. As I say, our work extends from residential projects. Here we have Mount Pavilia in Hong Kong, a very important project next to nature. A lot of elements in here that we always try and bring into projects. This healthy living lifestyle, very important. Next we show Air Residence, and this has the same ethos as well. This very much this idea of a healthy living lifestyle, contemporary design, understanding the way people want to live and work. Other parts, much smaller projects in Hong Kong. This is for Swire Properties. And others with just very quite simple outdoor spaces where we consider exercise as being a very important part of the outdoor experience. Of course, beauty is always very important, looking at how we can make use of the external landscape and bring it into our development. Likewise, for looking at historic buildings and the way they can add to our project. Here, I think Robert will talk about this later. Light 2, another SMDC project, which again carries that same ideas throughout. Then we go to much larger scale projects where we really take consideration of the surrounding environment with the natural landscape on one side, the urban environment on the other, and looking at ways we can connect the two. We go from very large scale projects to very small scale, just focal points within the project. And then also looking at SM Gold, this parkland environment at the ground level with courtyards extending, with pathways extending from one courtyard to the next. Others with hospitality, large-scale resort pool environments, and then much smaller scale hospitality developments. This is the Mirror Hotel in Hong Kong. And then in Phnom Penh, another hospitality environment, both at the ground floor level, but also taking advantage of the views up at the skyscraper looking across the city. Back in Hong Kong, a lot of work for the Kerry Hotel, a beautiful level of 7 stories of landscape. And down in Fusionopolis in Singapore, very lush environment, once again taking into consideration for the way in which people, the public, use these spaces and trying to make them as healthy as possible. Rooftop landscapes, making use of space in Hong Kong is very important, like Manila, making sure that we can make use of open space wherever possible. And then looking at health resorts elements, this one in Zhuhai, a very beautiful environment adjacent to Macau, where people can just go to relax and rejuvenate. Mixed-use developments, also these days, a lot more green environment surrounding these, trying to look at ways in which people can utilize the space, not just about the shopping experience indoors, but how it extends beyond to the outdoor space. And then park environments as well, making use of different level changes, spaces for walking, jogging, sitting, relaxing throughout all of these areas, exercising and playing. Others next to the St. John's Cathedral in Hong Kong, making use of the outdoor environment, once again for complementation and looking at ways in which we can create spaces that really harmonize with the architecture and the interior design. So thank you very much, Tim. That's the end of our presentation.
Thank you so much, Adrian. And we would like to say hello to all the participants. I'm seeing a lot of people saying hello from different places of the Philippines. We have people also from Israel and Doha, Qatar, New Zealand, and all over the world. They're all tuned in to us because they all want to hear what our panelists have to say. Kunio Iwata, the Managing Director and Architect of KKS International, will also be sharing his insights with us. Kunio has been with the KKS group of companies for more than 40 years, responsible for the overall supervision of projects in architectural concept planning, interior designs, administrations, and job management of projects undertaken by the company. The KKS Group was established to provide expertise in architectural and interior design services for hotels, resorts, and high-end residential and commercial developments. It is also involved in designing for convention centers, clubs and recreational facilities, specialty restaurants, and corporate offices. The KKS Group has successfully completed many prestigious projects across many countries in Asia and Europe. Welcome, Kunio, and may we hear some words from you as well.
Thank you, Tim. We are honored to be invited for discussion today. Let us make a brief introduction of KKS Group and show you some of the recent projects. Okay, KKS Group was established in 1962 in Tokyo. We will be celebrating our 58th anniversary next month. KKS International Singapore is affiliated office since 1975, and other offices are in Hong Kong, Cebu, Thailand, and China. Now, domestic project in Japan, from Hokkaido to Kyushu and Okinawa, we have done so many hotels all in Japan. Overseas projects are not only Southeast Asia, but also China, also Europe. In 1977, we have worked in the Philippines. Our history go back to the 1977. We have done Century Park Sheraton Manila. That's the architecture design. In 1992, we have completed Shangri-La Hotel, Manila, and ETSA. In 1993, Shangri-La Mactan, Cebu, and 1998, Shangri-La ETSA Plaza, Manila. And 2009 and 2018, we have completed Radisson Blu Cebu with SMDC. Recently, you have completed also Japanese restaurant in Hotel Okura, Manila. Now I'll be showing recent ongoing and complete project. Now this is the hotel called The Clan in Singapore, cater for more of the concept of the immigrant workers come from China to Singapore. Lounge and restaurants and guest room. And this is the Barak Hotel in Sentosa. This interesting project that the hotel was built and conserved the buildings. And this is a guest room. Now, beside the Barak, we have outpost hotels, which based on the Singapore traditional black and white house. This is a hotel in Vietnam, Media Ho Tram. This is a lounge for the influenced by the local culture. And this is guest room. And this is just completed and open in China, Hot Spring Resort. This is all the dining, guest room. And this hotel in China, all the dining and guest room. Now this is the ski resort of the northern part of China, very close to North Korea. All the dining, guest rooms. And this project also just completed in Japan is the Indigo in Hakone. And this is Sheraton Okinawa, Samarina. And this is Capital Tokyo Hotel in Tokyo. Now finally, our design philosophy is triple win. Not only clients and designer, but also the user must be satisfied. I believe as architect and designer, we have responsibility to contribute to society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cunio. And I'm sure our viewers picked up a lot of tips on how they can better use their spaces and adapt to the new normal. I just want to say hello to some of our friends who are watching right now. There's a lot of people from all over the world, from Cebu to Melbourne to Sydney to Doha to Brunei to New York to the UK. So hello to everybody. And I'm seeing a lot of people from the best architectural companies and the top realty companies also here in the Philippines. They're all watching. Hello from Kuwait. Hello from Singapore. Hello from Ireland. Hello. Thank you so much for all of you. For all of you guys who my video. There. Okay. So I'm saying hello to everybody from Saudi Arabia to Italy to Canada, Hong Kong, again, Cebu, Melbourne, Sydney, Doha, Brunei, New York, UK, all of the people who are watching us this afternoon. Okay, and the past panelists were super stellar, and now it's time to go from there to this other guest. From an architect, we're going to hear it from a very well-known interior designer, a respected influencer, an Inquirer property brand ambassador. But really, she doesn't need any introduction because Tessa Prieto Valdez has a BA in interior design from the College of Notre Dame in California and her own firm, Treza Group, which handles residential and commercial design projects, including the Philippine Daily Inquirer office in Makati City. Beyond that, Valdez is an avid yogi, triathlete, golfer, scuba diver, and columnist for the property and lifestyle sections of the Philippine Daily Inquirer. Tessa has actually shown us how to stylishly make living spaces perfect for the demands of the new normal. Welcome, Tessa. Hello.
Hello, Timmy. I'm so happy to be here and part of the distinguished panelists. It's like incredible, all their works. But coming home, closer to home, I'd like to share my thoughts on how to really future-proof your home. And I think now more than ever, our home is our sanctuary. It's our new workplace. And it's so important that we make sure that we are safe in the home. Okay, I'm gonna give you and share with you important tips, 8 important tips that are not really new because they are something that you really new and practical that you can do. And especially with the coming ghost month, it's so important to keep your home safe and secure. Okay, so my first point would be number 1, keep your house, your home, your living space clean and tidy. That means everything has to flow energy-wise. The chi energy flows if it's very neat. And this is an example of an SMDC project. It's in Hamilacos. It's done by my friend Nix Alianan. He did this condominium, and it's in the Batangas area. The nice thing about this condo is it's free flowing with natural lighting. That's important as well. It's very neat and clean, especially during the ghost month. Plus, of course, now that you need to really keep it tidy and neat because of all the viruses and the bacteria, it's so important that you have to constantly clean your space and get rid of negative energy. And negative energy is dust, mess, and of course, all the germs that are moving around. So make sure that you keep that neat. The second item, number 2, is keep it bright and cheery. There's nothing like coming into a space that is happy. And you know, now that the times are so gloomy, it's so uncertain, it's just incredibly so confusing. We actually don't know what version of quarantine we're going through now. But if your space is happy with nice lamps, and as you can see, this is from Phoenix Home as well, from Nix, and we also have from Philux wonderful lamps. You can actually create your own lamp using jars or different decors in the home. As you can see also, make your space bright and cheery with bringing in plants as well. Use actually very nice, rich, colorful fabrics. I always say that if you want to have a new, fresh look, you can just throw a new set of pillows on your sofa, cushions really, and then add some paintings and everything. The third item is repair all cracks, repaint as possible, because there's nothing like a fresh coat of paint that will really uplift and clean the interior space that you live in. It's so important that you choose a color. If your space is small, make sure that you choose a light color, like pastels are great. So it actually makes the space look bigger. Now, if it's difficult to repair the crack, then cover them with a mirror or some artwork or a decorative fabric, even just during the ghost month. As you can see down there, one of the pictures has really nice lighting. Lighting plays a very important aspect in your design. This is by architect Gwen Salido, and he uses and integrates a natural and local materials into the design. The fourth item for me, the fourth very important point that I have to suggest that you all do is designate an area in your living space that is totally meant for a study station or a workstation at home. This is the only way that you can differentiate work and play now that work and play is in the same space. Now we are getting some mental issues and problems because it's very difficult to separate both areas of life. Now that we have to do all work from home or having to do with now that children are back to school, it's really a discipline to make sure that they are not studying in bed or that you're doing work from the other spaces. So if you designate a space there, that will be sort of your home office. That's so important that it's well lit up, well ventilated, and of course the Wi-Fi is the strongest. Next, we have the fifth really important point is natural ventilation. Of course, you know, we have to make creative spaces like I think in Michael's projects, you saw how wonderful the windows are wide open, natural indoor plants are, you know, we're trying to do now this, you know, natural indoor outdoor feel, and we can actually do it here in Asia because of course, you know, depending on the weather, but it's really nice to create natural ventilation and a cross ventilation in your space. Why is that important? The coronavirus now is actually, they're like saying it's airborne, meaning it can actually stay in the air. And so the lifespan now of the bacteria is longer than what they said. So if you don't have natural ventilation, it really makes the air stagnant in your space. So you need to at least once a day air your space. You yourself have to get some sunshine, ideally in the morning. They say like 20 minutes of sunshine can really kill all the bacteria. So you really have to make sure that you yourself is free from all the you know, you have to make sure that you yourself is protected. And what you have to do is like make sure that your home sanctuary is very secure from all the different elements out there. Remember, you can only control your own home and your environment. You cannot control the external forces. But if you are in control of that, then you're already ahead of the game. All right, so the sixth really important item is disinfect the air you breathe. Okay, why is this important? People don't realize that the air we breathe now that we all are living in condominiums and everything, the air recirculates from your air condition. If you breathe the same air, and if this air is actually has bacteria, it's recirculating in the air that you breathe. You don't realize that because you think, oh, it's a temperature, it's okay, you don't feel things. But you gotta disinfect it with preferably a plant-based disinfectant material, because then you need to make sure that it does kill the germs, but of course it has to be non-toxic. And of course I recommend Back to Clean, which is like non-toxic, and it lasts for 3 months. You don't realize that the air-conditioned air contains so much dust. They actually have a meter to test how much dust is in the air. So if you do that, disinfect the air, please take note. You can also maybe do a spray, but they said that the other commercial sprays are not very good. So make sure that you do that. And there's also there's so many brands out there. Just check them out and make sure that you actually make the effort to clean the air conditioning. All right, number 7 is one that's close to my heart, is support local. Okay, now that we are in the pandemic, fashion, furniture suppliers, all the local artists are hit the hardest. Whenever you can, please support local artisans with buying, even like if you need like new lamps or new furniture, fabrics. I think it's very important. Now it's a buyer's market. What does that mean? What do I mean by that? That means that like now there's a lot of designers are having all their items on sales. You can see now I'm of course posting my pictures with all the artists. We have Ben Cab, and then we have Dominic Rubio, and of course we have like Michelle Perez, some young and old, and some masterpieces. And of course we have furniture. Like I say, I'm so proud to that our world-class designer. One of them is Kenneth Cabanpue, who's like been showing all over the world. He's a world-class artist, and he's like, as you can see, it's like he designed a chair for me. It's a peacock chair. I love it. So, you know, if in these cases, you gotta make sure that we have to help one another. We have to support local artists in every way we can. We gotta, now it's really not a matter of avoiding. Yes, it is. We have to avoid the virus, but you have to learn to live with it. Now we got to move forward. We can't just be living in fear or not trying to continue on with what we can't really stay home all day. So, you know, you got to make sure that you really need to try to learn to live and move forward in this new normal. And my last very important point is infuse your space with good chi and positive energy. Why is this so important? Our mental health now is at risk. We are stuck at home. We have never been in the home for so long. We have, as humans, we are actually very social beings. We need to have this feeling of you know, being embraced and having, you know, we are being tested as a human race. And so how do we get good energy and good chi? I say, like with Tim, we were just in our vacation and we got some, you know, Kundalini yoga. You have to infuse this good energy into your space, and you are in charge of making sure that your living space has wonderful plants, like nice pillows that are like sort of, you know, personalized. You need to like create your own local culture in your living space, and now more than ever, we are, as the nation, we have been the longest in lockdown. We are going to be on our 5th or 6th month. I don't remember anymore. And I'm even more confused, but it's so easy to spiral down into all that negativity. You just need to make sure that you are of sound mind, body, and spirit, and that you always act and live with gratitude in whatever design space that you are in. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tessa, for that dose of positivity, right? I'm sure you guys all felt that, all the people who are participating in this webinar. So these are the questions that we need to address, right? So we all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has really altered the way we work, live, and play. And so it encourages us to give much thought and consideration about the design and structure of our spaces. But are there specific elements we should be mindful of as we design our spaces amidst this pandemic? How can we make our living spaces safe, healthy, and future-proof? So this is why we have this esteemed panel with us today. They have worked with SMDC for its projects in the Philippines, helping ensure that each development would provide safe, resilient spaces for its residents. And today we will also share their insights about designing amid the pandemic. Okay, so our first question goes out to everyone in this panel. In your area of specialization, which elements or aspects of design changed due to the pandemic? Michael, would you like to start?
Thank you. Listen, I think there will certainly be many more straightforward physical issues that we'll need to address. And Tessa, I loved your presentation. I think you touched on several of them, actually. Like, for example, material selections. I think materials that are more honest and more locally sourced. Certainly things that are with finishes that are easy to maintain and keep clean. But I think more importantly, flow, circulation, and a comfortable sense of space will become even more important in the new normal. So these aren't new design strategies, by the way. Good design always focuses on these pillars. But in today's climate, I just think they're going to need even more attention. Guests today need to not only feel like they're experiencing a well-designed space that's comfortable and memorable and even luxurious, but they also need to feel that they can still commune, have a sense of community, but with a heightened sense of physical space and a sense of safety and security. As an example, for the Gold Residences project we're working on with SMDC, we tried to accomplish this by capitalizing on the spacious volumes. We applied lighter finishes with high contrast accents that draw your eyes upwards and outwards, giving you that perception of space and separation. We also tried to create comfortable areas for lounging and communing and gathering that are more generous in scale. So that way the guests still feel like they can enjoy a shared experience, be part of a community, but with a genuine sense of safety.
Cool. Thank you for that, Michael. How about you, Adrian? With the way you design, did it change to suit the new normal? That's what they call it.
Well, I think essentially as designers, we're always thinking about a healthy living environment. That's something that has been around long before this pandemic. But as designers, that's always been the case, but not necessarily for the general public. Certainly, the pandemic has focused people's attention towards the importance for the need of a healthy and clean outdoor spaces for exercise, play, and relaxation. And that idea of a strong relationship between the interior and exterior space is something that I believe people will look at even more. The idea of really allowing fresh air to come into their house to ensure that there is this interaction between the spaces. It's not necessarily now just about this visual connection, but also this healthy connection of what we need. People really have started to recognize this contribution that a high quality landscape can make. And we are really now starting to see a demand for people keen to live close to nature. And I believe this will continue to develop further.
Cool. Thank you for that, Adrian. I think now is the best time that people will actually realize that, design, how important design is, because wherever they're living, they realize it was designed to be that way for them to have outdoor spaces, common areas, and really now is when they can realize that designers actually have already planned for their future, right? Now is the time. How about Mr. Cunio? Do you have any thoughts on the matter?
Well, I think since you are really talking about safety and comfort, I will talk about a little bit more space planning in the house, because this pandemic have changed quite a bit of design of the house. We consider the private area for working space, which should be private and more close to the work area, and that will be affecting the overall space planning. So when we do the space planning of that particular workspace, there's a few or more opportunity to create better environment for the work. Whether we have some partition to seal off the workspace for privacy or avoid the noise, or we create some niche or nook within the living space or even the bedroom, so that when they work, it's more private and quiet. So these are considered to the new environment as compared with the used to have. So I was thinking like, if the apartments is being built for sale with a built wall, so buyer doesn't have any flexibility to adjust. So if apartment is empty with a kitchen and bathroom set, there's a buyer to adjust their own rooms, like study, play areas. So in future, this probably good demand for future apartments.
Cool. Thank you, Mr. Cunio. How about you, Robert? How has this pandemic affected the way you guys design? Oh, please unmute, Robert. Please unmute yourself first. There you go.
Hi, sorry. Yes, I think Adrian touched upon that earlier, just in our approach to design and the principles within the landscape. For example, at Light 2, there's an extensive open space on the 8th floor podium, which really creates this very healthy living environment, very green, very family orientated. So even in the ground floor of Light 2, it really allows for a lot of al fresco dining areas, which allows people to extend out from the interior of the retail. So yeah, I think a lot of the principles that we've already adopted before the pandemic is something that we really consider during all of our design compositions.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Robert. Okay, now from designing, let's go to trends. Tessa, of course, you know, I'm going to ask you this. What new trends are we seeing? And of course, you touched on it on your initial presentation. And what should we expect in the new normal? You already told us how to combat it, but are there trends we need to be on the watch out for, the lookout for?
Yes, like I said earlier, it's not really a trend now because it's really now more a way of life of how we have to integrate our interior design elements into the new normal. And I think now that we have more safety and cleanliness protocol, I think we are going to adopt what the Japanese have. I think Architect Cunha might say that, you know how you enter a space, all the Japanese don't have their shoes come in, and that there's a space that all your outdoor shoes, of course there's a foot bath. I think now it's going to be part of your design that you have a space where in the entrance there's sort of like an area wherein you can remove your outdoor shoes after it has been cleaned, and you provide guests with slippers, and those slippers are the ones that are coming into your living space. I think more and more that practice will be done because you know, you can't, like I said, you can't control external forces, but you can control what's inside your home. So I think now that we are getting into that, designers have to think of ways to how to enhance the foyer. Now that it's going to be that there's going to be a chair and sitting down, and you provide slippers, and then of course there's all that protocol of how to have a super stylish antibacterial dispenser. And you know, all these things have to be now introduced into your design element. And I think it's not really a trend, but it's something to think about. And I think it's here to stay.
Wow, it's become a necessity. All these alcohol stations, and you know, we know of the different brands that have that are from smoke to
yes, exactly.
to gun pistols of spray and everything else, because a lot of people have increasingly become paranoid about germs and viruses and bacteria, right? And so from the interiors, now let's go outdoors, right? But Tessa, you know that we know of these homes that have, before that you said all these things, we know of a lot of homes that you already have to take off your shoes, and they were doing it even before
exactly.
COVID.
And if you think about it, it's such a wonderful practice. It's you know, your guests they feel secure. There's nothing like, you know, now everyone checks their temperature. There's no party that goes on without a rapid test and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's nice that you do that protocol into your home. And even if how small or how, you know, even if you live in a studio, you can do that practice.
Exactly. So now from the interiors, let's go to outdoors. Adrian, in designing the outdoor spaces, what are the important things to consider in the new normal? And please cite specific examples based on how you've designed the exterior spaces of SMDC projects like the Air Residences and Gold Residences.
Okay, Tim. So in fact, for both Air Residences and Gold Residences, these were designed long before, which could actually just be 6 or 7 months before, but long before we even considered that there could be such a pandemic, that this could ever happen. However, as designers of the external environment, we always recognize the need to create both not just beautiful, but usable outdoor spaces with the opportunities for exercise, play, and relaxation. Air Residence, for example, has residential gardens on the 8th floor with a covered landscape on the 7th floor below. Gold Residence, on the other hand, has a series of interconnecting beautiful courtyard gardens throughout a parkland environment. But both were designed as healthy living lifestyle contemporary concepts. Air Residence with a large swimming pool for both exercise and relaxation, tree-covered play areas, making them very comfortable to use, courtyards for exercise, enclosed within green settings with shaded multifunction spaces below. The multifunction spaces below for air residents incorporate children's play areas, seating areas, areas for just small families, larger spaces for group gatherings that can separate to ensure social separation at the same time. All of these things actually are things that we'd already considered to some degree beforehand. In the future, of course, we may need to consider a bit further about some of these spaces, how they should be separated in a further way. But the intention really is to ensure that people are drawn to use external environments as much as possible. As I say, the Gold residence, on the other hand, has a network of tree-covered footpaths and jogging trails connecting each of the courtyard spaces. Each of these courtyards has their own swimming pool, play areas, and places for relaxation. So this gives the owners, the people living within these developments, a lot of flexibility of use. The idea that they can utilize the larger landscape for jogging trails, walking throughout the whole space as if they're walking amongst a parkland environment. Whilst on the other hand, if residents want to use their own individual courtyards, they can feel very much more secure within a setting that is still open, airy, light as possible, but at the same time covered with trees, bringing air into the development, bringing oxygen into the spaces, and bringing light into those spaces. All of those elements that Tessa talked about before.
Wow, Adrian. So when you are assigned a project like air and gold, how is your design process? Like, you know, when somebody tells you air or gold, I mean, where do you draw inspiration from, and how do you start?
Well, of course, we don't just look at the development itself. Sometimes it is just looking at the development and the floor plate and its relationship to just the apartments or to the clubhouse and how that relationship works in there. Of course, there's a lot of discussion with the client about what we would like to see, what they would like to see, and hopefully we can influence them as much as possible. What we try and advise the clients to do, and responsible clients like SM really respond to that, is to ensure that they bring us in very early, to ensure that we can allow for very important landscapes. Obviously, trees have to have certain depths of soil. We need to ensure that engineers understand those things, ensuring that all those spaces are sort of considered at a very early stage. But this idea of ensuring that we can provide landscapes for lots of different users. Some developments are focused towards younger couples or younger families. Others are for all ages. So where we have a development which is for all ages, we need to consider a landscape that can be used by all of those, whether it's, as I say, the swimming pools, the exercise spaces, jogging trails within there, or just relaxation spaces, spaces for yoga. All these areas, especially now with the pandemic, ensuring that people having this healthy living lifestyle, that we can really focus on exercise or relaxation, where people can really draw inspiration and really feel much more healthy. So there's many, this is a very short version of all of the things that really, as we look at the design, but those are some of the principles that we look at.
Wow, so many things to consider, right? Speaking of space, Robert, how about the amenity that you designed, the amenity area for SMDC's Light 2 residences? I hear it's about 1 hectare of open and amenity space. Wow, that's really huge, huh? Oh, please unmute again, Robert, please.
Yes. Hi, Tim, sorry. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's about 12,000 square meters, so it's actually slightly over 1 hectare. About 4,000 square meter is actually at the ground plane, which is for the residential drop-off, retail arrival, 2 residential drop-off, retail arrival, and it's really enclosed and as much green as we could accommodate within the space, because it's right alongside EDSA, so it's quite a harsh environment. So we really try to enclose the ground floor landscape with as much greening as possible, allowing retail promenades to extend out from the base of the podium, where it's all retail. And then as we extend up onto the podium to the 8th floor again, similar to AIR, we have about a 7,000 or 8,000 square meter area of landscape, which is very generous. It's enclosed by 2 L-shaped 50-story towers, so it's a very high population. So the requirement of an extensive landscape is extremely important. A lot of the amenity is as what Adrian had described earlier, which is something that we work closely with SM to establish the program that's required, so that it's a very family orientated environment. It's very green, and it accommodates for all ages. It's got a very strong resort character to it, and areas of it are covered because the towers sit above the podium itself, so that allows for different sorts of environment and safe environments for children, children's play, exercise courtyards for spin class or yoga, and then external environments where we've got extensive areas of water for both exercise and recreation, as Adrian mentioned, large lawn spaces for family gatherings and rest and relaxation, and also exercise. So yeah, it's a very generous amenity and very important given the population of the development. We think we're looking forward to this being complete. We've been working on it since 2018.
Wow, Robert, I'm excited to see that because it's such a big space, and we hope to be able to really utilize the space well with exercise, which is what people need now, alongside ample sunlight and everything that Tessa said, for us to be able to really maneuver ourselves and our lives in this within the pandemic. So we've been talking a lot about how to adapt to this new normal, but because since the new rules have made it so so stringent and very strict, because it's all about safety and sanitation and hygiene protocols, does that leave room for us to be still creative? And if yes, how do we become creative? Mr. Cunyo, I hear that the design that you're doing for an SMDC development in the Bay Area or Entertainment City has been inspired by the sea and ripple patterns on sand. And so given the more practical requirements of design imposed by this new normal, is it still possible to be creative in designing these spaces?
Okay, to answer the first question, I think during this new normal period, there's a restriction, but I think design should be more creative, even more than before. I think there's no problem of creating design. As for the SMDC project, yes, concept inspired by sea and ripple of sand. This because of surrounding nature of the site, which is surrounded by sea. Now, our general concept, not only this project, but generally, we have these three keywords: nature, culture, and the future. Nature being more like natural environments and eco-friendly. Culture will be community or interaction. The future is design must be timeless or everlasting. So we always play with the three words, make sure design suit the purpose.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, so we've been talking about the nature part of it also. So let's go into the future of design. As you said, nature, culture, and the future, right?
Right.
So the growing importance that trends could make a mark, and that different elements have been highlighted amidst the pandemic, such as enough open spaces, as we talked earlier before. Adrian, in creating a future-ready home, how important are open spaces? And what are the practical benefits of having these open spaces? Please unmute yourself, Adrian.
Yeah.
There.
As I said before, as responsible landscape designers, we always recognise the need to provide high quality open spaces for outdoor activities. There's a need for open space has become so important in this new normal. There's the need for clean air, exercise, and natural light. And natural light, very important, ensuring that our designs allow all of that in. All subjects are continually to be discussed at a time when the other major subject of global warming is such an important issue. So these two elements combined really are very important. So it's not just about the pandemic itself, but ensuring as we look at these exterior spaces, we are making a consideration not just for the pandemic, which we hope won't last so long, but for the future of our planet, ensuring that we are providing spaces that are cool enough for people to use, that we want to encourage people to use these spaces as much as possible. Therefore, there is a need for designers to encourage people to use outdoor spaces by planting more trees, providing more shade areas to create comfortable spaces for walking. At the same time as providing more trees as well, of course, we're addressing some of the issues relating to global warming. We must provide more trees, bringing more oxygen, clean air into our atmosphere. As well as allowing for all of those elements, then we can actually provide comfortable spaces for exercise, for play, or just for relaxing after a stressful day. And with the trend, with more people working from home, the issue of accessibility and usability is very important. The landscapes that we are developing, that we're designing, have to be convenient, usable open spaces. So as we develop our designs into the future, we must ensure that we understand the way people are using their homes. It isn't, as we see, or we have seen, it's just a space for the families to relax during the weekends and during the evenings, but as a working space as well. So we really have to have this consideration of all of these elements.
For Michael, we have a question here from my friend Alexei Villaraza. Because of the pandemic, public spaces are being reconfigured to address safety and sanitation guidelines. How are you going to address that with the gold residences, and how can this contribute to the well-being of a resident?
Well, we discussed earlier some of the physical issues, ways that we would address this, like space planning, flow and circulation, perception of space, but something, Tim, I really wanted to talk about was the psychological, the emotional side of design. That's going to be more important in the coming period post-pandemic. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with my design colleagues here, but hopefully some of our followers will find this enlightening. But every space we move through, and this, by the way, applies to built environments, as well as natural or landscape spaces, the type that Adrian and Robert create. But every space creates an emotional response, and our brain reacts to that, and we respond accordingly. So the emotional response creates a physical reaction. And of course, as designers, we hope that that's always a positive reaction. Now, as I said earlier, this isn't really a new paradigm. As designers, we use this strategy in everything we do, and it's always been an important part of the process. But in the current climate today, I think it just becomes even more important. People have a bit of a feeling of insecurity right now. And we can remedy that through the design choices that we all make. The environments that we're in, and I would say particularly this applies to our personal living spaces. It affects us emotionally. And if they're designed appropriately, these spaces have the power to promote wellness of both body and mind. They have the power to uplift the mood of the people who use these spaces, and even give people a sense of security and safety. You're quite right. The pandemic's created a pretty challenged emotional state for everyone, and this insecurity, and it's an insecurity about the unknown, isn't it? But it's this insecurity worldwide. So I think we as designers today need to find ways to use the power of design to address that, to not just improve the experience, but actually improve the quality of life of the end user.
Exactly. And we're going to talk more about well-being with Tessa in a bit. But before that, I wanted to ask Mr. Cunio that in designing these interior shared spaces, like what you've beautifully done for SMDC, what are the design elements to consider now that the spaces will have to be more shared, since a lot of people are going to be working and living and working at the same time in the same space?
Yes, I think the sharing the room or space is very, very crucial at this time of point. I think that's one way to resolve or to help is to consider the loose furnitures. Like in the living room, we have sofa, we have tea table, a dining, we have dining table. So all of them, we can design such more multi-function. For example, tea table can be adjust height to suit maybe desk for working desk, or maybe extend to the dining table. Or dining table can be folded to small space, small table for working, or even folded to store somewhere else, or maybe exercise or play. So this loose item will play a lot important, especially this time around.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Cunio. Okay, now Tessa, how much does design affect the well-being of an individual? We were talking about well-being because Michael touched on that, and you were telling us about about how the mental health and emotional health of people and how design affects that. Are there specific elements in designing living spaces that are important now more than ever?
Well, like Michael said earlier, these are not new design practices. These are not new design philosophies. It's like all part of the design. Good design has to be, well planned, well spaced, but now more than ever, because we have additional things to be concerned about, and it's of course it's a mental issue. It's also now making use of colors. Colors really also draw emotions, and so they can help. Like I said, like a fresh coat of paint can add, another kind of, sort of a cheerful feeling. And it's really also a matter of, like architect, when you said, this is very important, multifunctioning materials. And all these things that we talked about, like Adrian's, keeping, I love the outdoors, putting the outdoors in, getting more oxygen. We all need to get our share into really changing the way our clients think and the way our clients envision their spaces. So it's sort of our responsibility as designers and architects to infuse all this to really make a significant change. There's been so many buzzwords like climate change, sustainable living, or recycling materials, but have we really done something? I mean, like, I'm sure we have some sort, but the implementation is not enough. And I think with this pandemic, it's sort of a restart for the world. It's a global issue now. It's not only where it started from, or we are least affected because we have a lower number of deaths. No, this pandemic is a global. That's why it's called a pandemic. It's not an epidemic. It's a pandemic because the whole world is part of it. And as designers and architects, it is our responsibility really to sort of, in our field of expertise, is sort of make a difference in the world. I mean, like all these panelists they're, like they said, we're practicing to the choir, but all those listening, we can make a difference in your small space somehow, do recycling, do cleaning up your space and all. I mean, a little makes a difference. And if we do all that, it's not a trend, it's a way of lifestyle. It's a way of, it's a way of making sure that this new normal is a new normal. It's not like going back to what it was, because what it was not really good. I mean, now we have a fresh start. We can't anymore blame, I'm busy, I have no time, I have whatever. Now it's like we're given the chance to start afresh, get into the new drawing board, and making sure that all the elements that we're trying to do in the past, then we can really enforce it now. Amen.
Amen. You have preached to the choir. Yes.
I know.
We are saying that it's about new normal, next normal. It's really what we have in our present to the future lives right now, right? So I guess it goes without saying that we all just really want, our goal is to live in homes that are safe, that are resilient and sustainable, and one that could help us thrive even amid a crisis or a pandemic. So let me throw the last question to Michael. Michael, so given the growing trend of people preferring condominiums or the vertical communities, how can we future-proof our living spaces and make these safer and more resilient through design? Oh, please unmute yourself, Michael. Yes. There.
Thank you. I pulled in Adrian, didn't I?
Yeah, and Adrian and Robert.
Oh, Robert, sorry, yeah. So, as designers, we talk about, there's a word we use a lot, timeless design. And I think in today's climate, whether we call it the new normal or just normal, I think timeless has even more meaning. Timeless to me means something that stands the test of time, something that's going to be relevant and appropriate and comfortable today, and it's going to be relevant and appropriate and comfortable 10 years from now. I think if we're moving into, I think what we all see as a bit of a changed perspective, different lens that we're looking at life through moving forward, and I think that's quite true. I think that approach of a timeless design becomes even more paramount. We want people to feel comfortable and safe and relaxed in our spaces. And, as designers, this is what we do, right? We create, we deal in true hospitality, we deal in memorable experiences. That's what we do for a living. This, fortunately, is really no different than our typical design process. We listen to our clients, we understand our target market, who's going to be living in my space, who's going to be using my space. And that informs the design choices that we make, because we're catering to those clients, to those users. The only difference is today, we have a bit of a different equation that we have to address, but we're going to address it in the exact same way. And we're going to address it making sure that the people who ultimately are the end users of the spaces that we design are being catered to. And they're being catered to in a physical sense, but they're being also catered to in an emotional sense. We're helping them to feel relaxed. We're helping them to feel secure. And with the gold residences, for example, these are personal living spaces. I think this becomes even more important. We spend a lot more time at home than we do at a restaurant or at a spa or at a hotel. So the way we as designers address these living spaces, I think is going to be really, really challenging, and I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. I actually see this as a beautiful opportunity. Now you're on mute, Tim.
Now I did an Adrian, Robert, and Michael. Okay, I'm really excited to see all the stuff that you've designed, and it's really exciting to hear from you guys. And then next time when we're gonna be walking around the space, I can say that I heard all your thoughts in this webinar. That was such a great discussion. Thank you so much, all of you guys. That was very informative, very helpful and insightful, especially amidst what we are facing right now. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. But before we officially close our webinar, may we hear some final thoughts from our panelists again, starting with you, Michael, followed by Adrian, Cunyo, and Tessa. And don't forget to unmute yourselves.
Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, Tim, thanks so much again for having me join this talk. I think the topics and the discussions from everyone are incredibly relevant, given the current global situation. And as we've been talking about, the spaces we spend time in every day affect our mood and our thoughts, and then also inform our behavior. And this is achieved through, the great and beautiful and mindful design that everyone on this panel is involved in every day. I know, most people think of design as being about balance and order and harmony of a space, and of course that's all true. Good taste, style, scale, proportion, all of these things, of course, factor into the equation as well. But I hope this discussion helped to enlighten people that there's a lot more to it. There's an actual science and a psychology to what we do as designers, whether it's residential or hospitality. And like I said earlier, I see this current situation as an excellent opportunity, actually, to use that knowledge to improve the emotional and physical impacts of the spaces that we create. It's a really powerful thing if you think about it. And so I appreciate you having me here to share my thoughts. Thanks again.
So, yes, thank you, Michael. Yes, and once again, thank you very much for having me involved in this discussion. As I said earlier, there's never been a time when there's more of a need for healthy living environment. It's been so important at the moment. Of course, I talked about the projects earlier of the gold residence. Projects that have already been designed prior to all of this pandemic. Those types of projects, it may be that we have to have some consideration about slight amendments to the design so that potentially pathways can be widened a bit further, or open spaces increased so that we can allow more people to feel like they're separated, but without giving people the sense that they are being controlled. I think what we want to avoid is a sense of having too many signs everywhere, too many cameras, too many heat sensors, so that people feel like they're always being watched. We need to be able to design our spaces so that people really still feel very comfortable and psychologically feel very relaxed as well. So it is very important that we don't take this too far to make people feel like they're being controlled. So it is really, this pandemic really has focused the public's attention towards nature, how they are going to use the external space. But really, they do want a safe environment, not just internally, but externally as well, so that they can live a healthy living lifestyle, which is our responsibility as designers, and we must recognize this going forward.
Anyway, thank you for inviting me for this discussion. I think very great opportunity for us to explore the ideas, especially this pandemic period. I think all of our designers have big challenge to create sustainable living space and living conditions. I think we can probably propose more ideas for developers, especially like SMDC. Maybe can consider for future developments or current ongoing project, so that cater for future problem like pandemic. Thank you.
Okay, I'm next. This is very enlightening. I love talking about interior design. Just before this pandemic, it seemed like interior design was not a necessity. It was sort of an unessential field. But now more than ever, with work being home and now it's a center of everything, I feel that the home now is a necessity. Design is a necessity, and we need to sort of make sure that we are part of that. I think now more than ever, we need to design and create with a purpose, using materials that are sustainable and everything, and really make sure that we do enforce and we do some practical construction and really make it like for real. Like I said, I always like live life with a purpose, and it's just a matter of taking that into your design ethics, and just really now we all need to just like keep our mental state positive, and that's the only thing we should be positive. Otherwise, let's stay negative from the that virus. But keeping our mental state is so important, and we can do that by keeping our space filled with positive energy and good chi. Thank you.
Thank you, Tessa. Yes, we have to be positively negative on the virus and positive everywhere else, right? Thank you so much again, Tessa, Robert, Cunyo, Mr. Cunyo, Adrian, and Michael. That wraps up our webinar for today. Thank you so much again, to our panelists for sharing their time, their insights, and expertise with us. Thank you also to the property section of the Philippine Daily Inquirer and SMDC. Once again, this is your host and moderator, Tim Yap. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, Tim. Bye, guys.
Adrian, Robert, thank you for the beautiful landscapes you're doing for the gold residences. It's gorgeous.
Thank you, Michael.
And Cunyo, nice to meet you. I've worked with PKS many times in Japan over the years. I've always enjoyed working with you.
Okay, sure.
And Tessa, nice to meet you. Tessa, I think I would like to have a glass of wine with you.
Oh yes, definitely. We'll get that Zoom meeting going. We'll have Tim join too. Bye, guys.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Live a life that is closer to more that you need, to more that you love, to make more moments that matter. Live a life that is better, where there's more fun with friends and neighbors together. SMDC, the good life. SMDC, the good guys give you. SMDC, the good life. A life with so much more here. There is so much more to love. There is so much more to see. There is so much to enjoy. SMDC, the good guys give you so much more to life. Live a life that is closer to more that you need, to more that you love, to make more moments that matter. Live a life that is better, where there's more fun with friends and neighbors together. SMDC, the good life. SMDC, the good guys give you. SMDC, the good life. A life with so